we're going to take a look at the concept of comparative advantage. We just took a look at the idea of opportunity cost, and we're going to use that theory when we're talking about comparative advantage. So you need to understand opportunity cost in order to understand comparative advantage. Basically, the definition of comparative advantage is that the comparative advantage belongs to whomever has the lowest opportunity cost of producing a good. So let's put that definition away up here, and let's talk about a scenario. We'll say that we have a farmer here, a young lady who's got a coffee farm in, oh, come on now, there we go. She's got a coffee farm in Brazil, and she's doing pretty well. And she's got a lot of land that she's planted in coffee. She has a lot of resources. She's got a labor force. Lots of people in town want to come work on the farm, and she's got really fertile soil. Everything about this farm, she's got it going on. And so she can produce 2,000 containers of coffee in a year. She can also grow sugar on this land, because it just so happens that in Brazil, sugar grows on very similar in similar kinds of growing conditions as coffee does. But she only has so much land, so if she's producing 2,000 containers of coffee each year, she doesn't have any resources left over for sugar. But let's say that she wants to produce some sugar. And so now she's going to plant some sugar. She wants to produce 200 containers of sugar. But because all of her land was being used previously, now she's got to give some up. So now she's producing 1,500 containers of coffee. Now let's take this a step further and say now she wants to grow more sugar. Turns out maybe she's found some good customers. There's some good reasons for her growing sugar, or whatever it is. We don't know. We're not talking about prices here at all. We're just talking about the ability to produce something given the resources that you have. So she wants to produce 200 more containers of sugar, so she's got to take something away from coffee again. So now she can only produce 100 units of coffee. And we'll take it a step further and say 600 units or containers of sugar means that she can only grow 500 containers of coffee. Now, what is the definition again of opportunity cost? So the definition of opportunity cost, I'm going to write it right up here. Opportunity cost, we're going to calculate the opportunity cost. It is the value of what is given up divided by the value of what is gained. Let's see, can you see that? The value of what is given up divided by the value of what is gained. Okay, so if you here with our farmer, we are giving up 500 containers of coffee in order to gain 200 units or containers of sugar. Okay, so we're giving up relatively a lot of coffee in order to gain relatively a small amount of sugar. So our opportunity cost is going to be something greater than 1, right? We're giving up 500, we're getting 200. So let's calculate that. The opportunity cost then of going from growing 2,000 containers of coffee to 1,500 is we're giving up 500 in order to gain 200. So 500 divided by 200 is 5 divided by 2, 2.5. And then if we go to the next one, now we're going to increase our sugar production from 200 to 400. We're going to reduce our coffee production from 1,500 to 1,000. So what do we give up? Once again, we gave up 500 in order to gain 200 once again. Okay, so this is a straight line here, and it's going to be the same thing here. It's going to be giving up 500 in order to gain 200. So our opportunity cost is 2.5 units of coffee for every unit of sugar that we grow. All right, so let's put this away. Now we're going to look at another farmer who can also grow coffee and sugar. Okay, so here's a gal, and I'm in the coffee business, so I know some female coffee farmers, and they are an interesting group of people. So here we have another coffee farmer who can also grow coffee and sugar. And so let's say that she has a smaller farm, fewer resources, not as many people, not as much land, and so she can grow 800 containers of coffee in a year. And so let's say she also is thinking about adding sugar, but she's using all of her resources to grow coffee, so she's got to give something up in order to grow some sugar. So let's say she's going to grow enough sugar to give her 50 containers at the end of the year, but she's going to have to give up some coffee, so she gives up 600 units of coffee. Now let's say now she wants to increase her production of sugar even more, from 50 to 100, and now she's going to have to give up more coffee in order to do that. And again, this is a straight line function here that we've got going on, nothing fancy. And we'll do one more. She wants to increase sugar by another 50, going to have to give up coffee by another 200. So what is the opportunity cost now for this gal? All right, remember, it's the amount given up by the amount gained. So going from 0 to 50 and 800 to 600, we're giving up 200 units of coffee in order to gain 50 units of sugar. And once again, going to the next level, giving up another 200 to gain another 50. We've got 200 divided by 50. We're going to have to move this because we're running out of space. Giving up another 200 in order to gain another 50. Okay, so our opportunity cost here is 200 divided by 50. Let's move that over. Do the math. 200 divided by 50 equals 4. Equals 4. So our red farmer has an opportunity cost of growing sugar of 2.5 units of coffee for each unit of sugar. Our green farmer has an opportunity cost of 4 units of coffee for every unit of sugar. Okay, so which farmer should be growing sugar? Okay, so the answer is whichever farmer gives up the least in the amount of coffee. So whichever farmer can add sugar to the mix without giving up a whole lot of coffee, they're the ones who are going to grow sugar. And which farmer is that? And that is, that is our red farmer here. We'll move this one aside. Our red farmer wins the prize because her opportunity cost at 2.5 is the lowest. 2.5 is less than 4, and so this is the one who will grow sugar. All right, so there's a mathematical example of comparative advantage. So our red farmer is the one who has the comparative advantage in growing sugar. She's going to be giving up the least. Okay, so costs are not always expressed in terms of dollars. Often costs are expressed in terms of what's given up, or the opportunity cost. And that's what we're talking about here with comparative advantage. There are no dollars. We're just talking about what is given up. Okay, well, hopefully that helped. And if not, shoot me an email, okay?